something that he has in Tampa Bay that he didn't have in New York is a GM who is a proven team builder.
Yeah.
You look at the team that Jason Light put together. That was the team that attracted Tom Brady. And for the first time in his career where he got to choose where he was going, he chose to come to Tampa Bay because he saw the talent that Jason Light was able to put together. With that and a good quarterback, Todd Bowles has proven that he can be a winning head coach. His first year in New York, the Jets went 10-6 with good play out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. It actually earned Fitzpatrick a pretty solid contract after that. So he's proven he can put together a good defense. And when he has a solid offensive coordinator and a good quarterback with a good team builder, he can be a winning head coach. If you look at Tampa Bay, that checks all the boxes. He's got a good offensive coordinator. He's got a good quarterback, and he's definitely got a great team builder. So for that makes me feel very confident that this year in 2022, he's going to be a very successful head coach. Now, we also know that, he may not have the same quarterback next year. Tom Brady will be a free agent. And Byron Leftwich will most likely garner a ton of interest as a head coach. And that's where I think those two things are going to be very, very important to Todd Bowles' long-term success.
You know that he's a smart guy. And I know a lot of people are concerned about scheme and, how he's going to manage that. But the reality of it is that when you're a defensive coach, not just defensive minded, but when that's your role or your niche or, the narrow box that you're put in, that's where your focus is. So now as a head coach who said that he doesn't want to be labeled as a defensive minded coach or a defensive coach, he's going to expand upon that and try to learn so much more and to think about the people and the staff that he has around him to learn from and then kind of put his twist to it. I have a lot of confidence in how that's going to pan out. Yeah. So he is a brilliant guy. Obviously, everybody supporting him thinks that he's a brilliant guy. So somebody who's going to tap into a whole nother level of coaching, and we've seen him do, quite well with it. Josh also spoke of his first season with the Jets. I mean, guys, we've seen what's gone on with the Jets. So that in itself, him just having a more better formulated roster, I think would be way off. Something else that I kind of thought of, and you'd probably be the best person to counteract this or go along with it. It was noted or it was put out there that Brady actually knew almost a week in advance that Bruce was about to step down or that Brady knew kind of first. Yeah. I can't imagine that within the conversation to Brady that it wasn't talked about that Bowles would probably be the next man up. Right. And we're talking about Tom Brady here. He didn't come out of retirement to have a fearful run. He didn't come out of retirement to have a whole bunch of question marks next to the season or unanswered questions. This is a man who thrives off of being confident and successful. So for him to have a conversation with Bruce Arians that kind of entails and paints a picture of Todd Bowles being the next head coach and for Tom Brady to still be on the roster today, ready to come back and, build out this team and go for another one. I think that speaks volumes in itself.
Well, yeah. And Kasey, you're right. Tom Brady's not going to come back and then all of a sudden not like the replacement for Bruce Arians, right? He's not going to come back and say, oh, wait, Bruce is not coaching. Oh, you're going to go with Todd Bowles. Okay. I'm going to retire. It's, that situation was never going to happen. This is something that as we've come to find out, the four people that really knew about this were obviously Bruce Arians, Jason Light, Joel Glazier, and Tom Brady, right? And we can sit there and speculate and guess about the timeline and whatever. That doesn't matter. Here we are right now. And those four people and Todd Bowles, of course, are all on the same page. They're all moving forward and they're all have smiles on their faces and they all wanted this outcome. And here it is. I mean, for Tom Brady to show up to the press conference when he didn't have to, there's only a couple of players there just because this is the off season. The players aren't really even reporting yet. But for Brady to be at the facility, to pop in, sit down, be all smiles, and witness the moment of, Bruce Arians getting the announcement that he's going to be inducted into the Bucs Ring of Honor, which was a great honor, and then to have Todd Bowles to be there for the press conference to show that support. You're right. This is something that Tom Brady knew about, and he was all in on from day one.
Yes.
Yeah, we all liked the news, right? That Todd Bowles, I think, was the right choice to replace Bruce Arians. And I think part of it was done from a strategic standpoint. He knows Todd going back to coaching him at Temple. And Todd has experience, certainly on the defensive side of the ball, what was on display in the Super Bowl, and just in turning the Buccaneers back into a defensive team. Back in the 70s during the 1979 Buccaneer team, this was a defensive town with Leroy Selman leading the way. Then you had Brooks and Sapp and Lynch and Barber. During the 90s and the 2000s, this has always been kind of a defensive town. And now you're getting back to that after some awful defenses under the likes of Raheem Morris and Greg Schiano and Lovie Smith, Mike Smith. So I'm, as a defensive-minded guy, I'm excited that Todd Bowles was the head coach for that reason. But we have already explained a couple of reasons, myself and Kasey, Hudson, and Josh Queipo. But what is the number one reason why you think Todd Bowles can have some success here in Tampa?
I think continuity is the biggest one. And even Todd said it himself. He doesn't have to get to know anybody. He knows everybody. The staff is in place. The players are in place. He knows everyone other than new players coming in and rookies. So I think that will do well. I'm perfectly fine. I think it's a great hire for this year. Where I'm caught up is after that. But, I think this year he's going to afford a level of stability. He's not going to have to come in and implement everything that he wants to get done, right, because a lot of his foundations and his core principles are the same as Bruce Arians. So he's going to, as he said multiple times, just tweak things here and there to fit his personality, fit his style. We've already seen that, with some of the things he's been doing. He's reaching out to all the coaches because this was their week off last week. Yeah. As he said, they all reported on Monday. So
again, half a week off.
Yeah, right. You got to go to the basketball game though with his four seats. So I mean, we're 6 days away from their off-season workout program starting up. I know a lot of guys are already in the building already. We saw some of the guys there during his introductory press conference. Guys like Robert Hainsey, Cam Brate, Ryan Griffin, who was recently re-signed. Brady was there. Gronk has been reported to be there, and I know I saw Gronk there too. I wasn't sure, but I definitely did. And then they came out and said Gronk. Jason said, Gronk's still working at the facility. I'm like, I knew I saw him. So, there's still a bunch of guys there working out already. There are more guys will come in as they come into town. I know guys like KJ Britt, Jamel Dean are in town. They'll probably head over there on the 11th, and then the guys will start to trickle in, which is great for him. We'll get to sit down and say, hey, this is my vision. And I think that's going to be great for this season. I think the continuity there and that level of familiarity, I almost struggle with that word, is going to help them and propel them to potentially win a Super Bowl this year. I really think they are Super Bowl contenders. My case is he the right man for the job after next season? And what I mean by that is there's a lot of variables that are coming into play. And the biggest one, of course, is Tom Brady. Right. If Tom Brady leaves, now you're back at square one with, okay, what are we doing at quarterback? Yep. Is it going to be Kyle Trask? Is it going to be Blaine Gabbert, who remains unsigned? Is it Ryan Griffin? Do they go draft a rookie? If they have a late round pick, how are you going to get a good quality rookie? Do they visit Baker Mayfield if he's a free agent? Is Kyler Murray a free agent? What about Lamar Jackson? I mean, there's plenty of different routes, but that's the scenario that you have to step into.